All right, we're starting. Now, you just asked me a question. Ask me again.
Why do I need to know this?
Good. So, this is a very serious article, and it's about something that happened just this week in our country's capital. What is a capital? The capital is an important place where important decisions are made. Usually it's where the government is located, or it's like the central location. I know. So, the capital, our capital of our country is called Washington, D.C., and there's actually a Capitol building in Washington, D.C. That a very serious event happened this week. So we're going to read about it right now, and I'm going to ask you a couple questions to make sure that you understand what's going on, okay? Now, the reason you need to learn about this is because this event is history. It's history in the making. So this is news. It's also, you could consider this a historical article. Trouble at the Capitol. Here's a picture, and the caption under this picture says, "Rioters try to break through a police barrier in front of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. January 6th was this past Wednesday, all right? You've seen Mommy and Daddy watching all kinds of videos about this, and you've heard us talking about this a lot. So now you're going to find out more information about what actually happened. Are you ready? So the title of this article is Trouble at the U.S. Capitol. Listen carefully, okay? On Wednesday, January 6th, the U.S. Congress met at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Lawmakers were there to officially approve the vote count that would make Joe Biden the next U.S. president. So what was Congress doing?
Congress?
Congress is a group of lawmakers. Congress is a group of people, and all these people met at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. What were they doing there?
Making decisions.
They were making decisions, and the main decision that was happening on Wednesday was they were acknowledging Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. That's what they were doing. That was their job on Wednesday. But supporters of President Donald Trump broke into the Capitol. They broke into the building to try to stop that from happening. What happened on Wednesday was unlike any event in modern U.S. history. Here's what you need to know. Wasn't Joe Biden already officially elected? Do you remember the presidential election that we witnessed where there were votes? Mommy and Daddy voted, and then we watched all these videos about the votes being counted, and then it seemed like Joe Biden had more votes than Donald Trump, right? Well, that wasn't the end, believe it or not. In November, more than 155 million Americans cast their votes for president, the most in U.S. history. Biden received more than 81 million votes. That was about 7 million more votes than Trump received. But in the U.S., in the United States, voters don't directly elect the president. Instead, we use a system called the Electoral College. The candidate who receives the most popular votes within a state wins that state's electoral votes. A candidate who wins at least 270 electoral votes from different states is elected president. And each state has its own number of votes, or number of electoral votes. Biden won 306 electoral votes. And you can learn more about Electoral College by clicking this link. According to the U.S. Constitution, Congress must count the Electoral College votes. That makes the election results official. So even though like lots of people studying this already knew how many electoral votes Joe Biden won and how many electoral votes President Donald Trump won, it still rests on the job of Congress to make it official. They count the electoral votes. That is why Congress was meeting on January 6th. So that was the whole point of them being in the Capitol building. Okay? What has been President Trump's response to the election? So, as we already said, Joe Biden had more electoral college points or votes. Well, this is kind of significant, especially for Wednesday, the event that happened on Wednesday. For 2 months, Trump said that he actually won the election. He claimed that there was a lot of voter fraud. Fraud means lying and cheating. So Donald Trump was saying that people had cheated in the voting process. But there has been no proof of that. Many states have recounted the votes. Experts on both sides, including people who support President Trump, agree that the election was fair. Alright, so what exactly happened at the Capitol on January 6th? President Trump had used Twitter and Facebook to invite people to a large gathering. Thousands of people came from across the country. At this gathering, President Trump continued to falsely claim that he won the election. He encouraged the crowd to walk down to the Capitol. Members of Congress were gathered inside the Capitol. Vice President Mike Pence was in charge of overseeing the counting of the electoral votes. The crowd of President Trump's supporters pushed past police at the Capitol. Dozens broke into the building. They actually got inside the Capitol building. The rioters smashed windows and stole items from lawmakers' offices. Some police officers were injured. One later died as a result of his injuries. So a police officer was killed by what happened on this day. One of the rioters was shot and later died. Pence and the members of Congress had to be moved to a safer place. It took several hours for police to clear out the rioters and make sure the building was safe. Many of the rioters have been arrested. What happened after the riot? Well, lawmakers spoke out against the riot at the Capitol. Many called it an attack on how our country elects its leaders, on our democracy. That's what I was telling you. It's like the people who broke into the Capitol, it was like they were doing that in order to try to change how we elect our president. See? And they were trying to break how that happens. Biden said in a speech Wednesday afternoon, "I am genuinely shocked and sad that our nation, so long the beacon of light and hope for democracy, has come to such a dark moment." What does he mean by a dark moment?
Like a sad, a hopeless moment.
Oh yeah, very good. Those are good words. Even people who supported President Trump expressed horror over what had happened. Like they couldn't even believe it, that this would happen in America. Did Congress continue to count the electoral votes? Yes. On the evening of January 6th, members of Congress returned to finish the count. They were determined to show that they couldn't be stopped from performing their duty. To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win, Pence said. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. Let's get back to work. At about 4 o'clock a.m., which is really, really late, 4 o'clock a.m. in the morning,
The next morning.
Yeah, the next morning, Congress made Biden's victory official. What does official mean? It
Which
means it means real or legitimate, or like it actually is true, official. According to the Constitution, the next step is for Biden to take the oath of office. An oath is like a promise to be the president according to what the Constitution says. This is set to happen on January 20th. On that day, Biden will be sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. Here we have a picture, an image with a caption that says Vice President Mike Pence, top left. This is Vice President Mike Pence. And Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi of California, top right. This is Nancy Pelosi. She's in charge of Congress. All right, we're almost done here. So how did President Trump react to the riots at the Capitol? How do you think he reacted? What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let's see. During the riot, President Trump recorded a video telling the protesters to leave the Capitol. But he also told his supporters that he loved them. Many people did not think that response was strong enough. In other words, they thought he should have done even more than tell them to leave. Like maybe he should have told them that what they were doing was wrong or something like that, you know. Then the next day, Trump posted a new video to Twitter. In it, he said that he was outraged by the violence and told, what's violence? Violence is fighting and like hurting people. So he was outraged by the violence and told those who broke the law that they will pay for their crimes. He also promised a peaceful change of power. Change of power means, so that is when the leader of a government peacefully hands over control to a newly elected leader. Has anything like what went on at the Capitol happened before? Well, America has faced difficult challenges many times before in its history. In the past and today, people have banded together to speak out against threats to our democracy. In America, we always overcome our challenges, Senator Chuck Schumer of New York said. So that's the end of the article. I wanted to read it with you so that we could talk about it a little bit. But this is what happened. This actually happened on Wednesday, and it's remarkable and astonishing, and there's lots of other vocabularies to use. But I liked how this article had questions and some answers, and it seemed like it was written well for kids to understand. There are quite a few things in here that are complicated, and it's tricky to understand, but I hope that you got a lot out of it.